alionyesha kwamba ni mtu ambaye alikuwa na mwelekeo.
Sikujua ya kwamba huyu Kenei ni mtoto wa mzee Chesa.
Alikuwa amepakwa yeye sana kwa mambo kadhaa.
It was not actually suicide, but it was cold murder, which was well executed.
When I was worried and uncertain about things, you assured me that it could be okay.
Damu yake pate kuenea kwa manyumba za hawa watu, nyuso zao na hata mikono yao, iwe damu tupu, na hiyo damu ilie kwake, ilie kwa kila mtu ambaye alihusika na jambo hilo.
Sergeant Arnold Kipyegon Kenei was one of the critical infrastructure protection unit officers attached to the office of the Deputy President William Ruto at Harambee House Annex. A day after he was reported missing, his body was discovered at his house here in Imara Daima estate. What followed were media exchanges between the DP and the DCI director on how Kenei could have lost his life, both assuring the family and the country nothing but the truth. 13 months down the line, what remains is a loud silence. The family is agonizing. Thursday, 13th February 2020. Time check, 9:38 in the morning. Former Cabinet Secretary Rashid Echesa, in company of two other people later confirmed to be Polish businessmen, saunter into the main reception area of Harambee House Annex, the office of Deputy President William Ruto. The three are ushered into a meeting room with all the formalities of official guests, and after 1 hour and 23 minutes behind closed doors, the three make for the exit. Then things take a dramatic twist. Detectives on Echesa's trail pounce and arrest him right outside the Deputy President's office. 5 days later, Echesa is produced before court to answer to charges of fraud, allegedly attempting to lure the foreign investors into a fake military procurement tender valued at about 39 billion shillings, a case that is still active in court to date. But in a twist of events, about a week after this whole saga, Sergeant Arnold Kipyegon Kenei, an administration police officer who had formerly received Echesa and his delegation into Harambee House Annex, is reported missing. A brief statement on 20th February 2020 from the office of the Deputy President stated, and I quote, "One of the security officers who was on duty on Thursday, February 13, when former Sports Cabinet Secretary Rashid Echesa and two foreigners visited the office of the Deputy President and who was required to record a statement, among others, has not done so, and neither has he reported on duty since Wednesday, February 19, the day he was scheduled to appear before DCI. A search for the officer has been launched." End of quote. But on the same day, at around 2 p.m., police officers from Embakasi Station respond to an alert from a resident of Imara Daima's Villa Franca estate, discover a body that was believed to be Kenei's. It had a gunshot wound, and beside it was this, an alleged suicide note and a pistol. A section of the note, whose authenticity has never been established, read, and I quote, "I, John Kipyegon Kenei, cannot continue to live a life of fear anymore. I'm not a coward, and I cannot take my own life. But I know that I will not last even a week after the public gets to know about what happens at the third floor of DP Ruto's Harambee Annex office." While the alleged suicide note reads, "I, John Kipyegon Kenei," a few things about it stand out, among them the name. His father says his name is Arnold Bernard Kipyegon Kenei and not John. Was he assigned a fake name on the alleged note? It was said Kenei's body was discovered by a lady who used to clean his house, who had gone to check on her client, only to find an unlatched door. Upon getting in, she stumbled upon his body and quickly raised the alarm, prompting neighbors to come in as well. That is when the estate Nyumba Kumi chairman notified the Embakasi police, who arrived and collected the body. Immediately, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations Chief George Kinoti took charge of the investigation and confirmed that indeed the body was that of Sergeant Kenei. Whereas Kenei's body had already been taken away by police officers since it was a police case, DCI Chief Kinoti ordered the body, which had already been taken to City Mortuary, be returned to the scene of crime and placed in the exact position it was found. Deputy President William Ruto demanded for thorough investigations into the death of Kenei, a police officer attached to his office.
Na mimi nawauliza wale wote wahusika, watafute kiini na sababu na kwa nini huyu Kenei aliuawa. There must be. I have said it must be found out why, who, and how was this man, how was he, aliuawa na nani? Lazima ipatikane.
2 days before his burial, DCI chief told the country that Sergeant Kenei did not commit suicide as initially speculated.
It was not actually suicide, but it was cold murder, which was well executed, stage managed, but unfortunately, our experts here are smarter than the cold killers.
Kinoti would later disband the original investigating team and constituted a new one on grounds that he had uncovered inconsistencies in the earlier probe, a turn of events that infuriated the deputy president.
And this is the way of shooting himself, and then definitely the entire spatter of either brand and brain, they were expecting to be somewhere here because that's the direction of trajectory of the ammunition after it has been ejected from the fire. And then when we are ejecting like that, definitely the cartridge is supposed, even I'm calculating, goes on the right. There is no fire, we have known that the ejector goes from the, we have not had one. But the one which he had, the ejector is on the right. When he shot himself, and what we were expecting up there was not consistent. It was not. There was no exit of the bullet or the spat of the blood. What we expecting is some almost meters exit of the bullet head.
Na hii njama inaendeshwa, na mimi nataka kumwambia bwana DCI, tafadhali my friend, fanya kazi ya askari, chunguza, tafuta ukweli. Siasa wachana naye.
In Chamasis village, Rongai constituency, Nakuru County, Mzee John Chesang, father to the late Sergeant Kenei, is still a distressed man, mourning his son's cruel death.
Hiyo muda ambayo tuliisha na yeye alionyesha kwamba ni mtu angekuwa na mwelekeo, lakini kwa sababu ya fikra za binadamu na uwivu ya na chuki zao amekatishia maisha, na tunaomba Mungu kwamba damu yake pate kuenea kwa manyumba za hawa watu, nyuso zao na hata mikono yao, iwe damu tupu, na hiyo damu ilie kwake, ilie kwa kila mtu ambaye alihusika na jambo hilo.
According to Mzee Chesang, his son had confided in him about his attempts at seeking a transfer from his workstation at Harambee House Annex.
Alijaribu mara mbili kutoka kwa hiyo ofisi, si kwa ubaya, ni jinsi tu kwamba yeye ni Mtuken, wale wengine wote ni Wanandi, so inaonekana kama walikuwa wamepakua yeye sana kwa mambo kadhaa, atoki nje, apate allowance zile anastahili. Wakati watu wanatoka nje, yeye anafinyiliwa anakaa ofisini tu. Kwa hivyo alikuwa ana hamu sana ya kutoka katika hiyo ofisi. Ni kwa sababu ya pressure tu ya mambo ambayo haikuwa inaendelea vizuri. Na ninaamini kwamba kuna njama ambayo labda hawa watu ambao walifanya katika hiyo ofisi, kwa sababu kama yeye ni Mtuken peke yake, wale wengine ni Wanandi, inaonekana kuna shida hapo. Na alikuwa ameona, sababu alikuwa alijaribu mara mbili na kuna kazi ilifanyika. Hakuruhusiwa kwenda mpaka hii mambo ikamkuta. Sijui kama walikuwa wanamkojea, kwa sababu hata yule mkubwa ambaye katika ofisi hiyo alikuwa ameenda retire na tayari alikuwa bado ako ndani. Sijui kwa nini. So kijana huyu angeepuka hiyo kifo kama angeachiliwa aende. Na kama walikuwa wameona ako na makosa, si angeachilia kuliko kumkanyangia mpaka nakufa.
He claims his son was discriminated upon at his workstation. Coincidentally, in Kalenjin, the name Kenei means the odd one. In allegations that KTN News could not independently verify, Kenei's father states that some individuals in the office of the deputy president were the source of his work-related tribulations.
Wengine anasema kijana yako sijui aliuawa na serikali gani? Nao wako kwa serikali. Singetacha machina ya watu, lakini kuna watu ambao walisema mabaya. Wengine anasema ati asipoandika statement atauawa. Si ndiye alichua kitambo kwamba atauawa kabla hajauawa? Nani huyu? Na kwa nini akusema? Na kwa nini akuprotect akuokoa huyu? Ama alichua kama hataandika statement atauawa. Na ni mtu wa karibu tu. Na ni kiongozi.
A statement that has seen Kenei's family raise some difficult questions and they are demanding answers.
Kama aliposema kwamba hakujua kwamba kijana ni ya familia hii. Kama angejua ingeendaje? Kama ilikuwa ya mwingine ingeendaje? Kama angejua kwamba kijana ya nyumba hii kweli angeuawa. Kama alisema hakujua, angejua angefanya nini? Na sasa amemaliza atokana amechukua.
In his speech, Deputy President William Ruto eulogized Kenei as a disciplined and professional officer who served with dedication.
And the blood of this innocent Kenyan will not go scot-free.
Before the funeral service began, DP Ruto met the family separately first and poured his heart out, giving the family an assurance which they say is yet to be fulfilled.
Na tangu siku hiyo mpaka wa leo hakuna hatua imechukuliwa na tutawasiliana kwa njia yote ile. Chabo sisi kama familia tulikuwa tunatarajia kumuona yeye kabisa, kwa sababu kuna mambo mengi ambayo alisema kwamba yeye kifo cha Kenei yeye angeuawa. Je, kama angeuawa amechukua hatua gani? Ya pili, alikuwa analaumu DCI. Na kama kuna kiteko kingine ambayo wanafanya investigation, si ndiye angetujulisha amechukua hatua gani, kwa sababu hataki DCI, hataki FBI. Sasa anataka wapi? Na kama anataka sehemu hiyo, kwa nini hatujawasiliana na yeye? Tunaona yeye akifanya kazi zake, shughuli zake huko, na sisi tumepoteza huyu kijana. Hakuna hata kutuliza ya kusema kwamba tutulie, tutaenda njia hii au tutaenda njia ile. Hakuna chochote, hakuna communication hata ambayo tumepata. Kwa hivyo tuna uchungu sana. Kwani kijana huyu alifanya kazi katika ofisi hiyo kwa miaka 7.5. Je, haistahili kupewa heshima kwa ofisi hiyo? Anatuba tu hivyo? Ni swali ambayo tunajiuliza.
As a protective father and head of the family, Kenei's father, now retired, who served as a chief for Kisanana location from 1981 to 2002, says he is the only one who will pursue justice for his late son. At the homestead, the late Kenei's house stands between two other houses. It still looks new, the coat of paint unstained. It was completed after his death. Mzee Chesang spends most of his time at this corner in the compound, sitting a few meters from where his son Kenei was buried. Among the discoveries detectives were able to make is that whereas Kenei's body had pajamas on, the family says he never owned any, a pointer that the clothes he had on could have been discarded elsewhere. Sources within DCI ranks also say results from government chemists revealed he might have been poisoned first before he was murdered. When contacted, Government Chief Pathologist Johansen Oduor confirmed to KTN News that indeed, after the post-mortem was conducted, samples were taken by detectives for further analysis, but findings were not shared with him as agreed.
Kwanza kabisa niliona uchungu kwa sababu naonekana alipitia mateso. Kwa sababu alikuwa chafu na amepigwa risasi kutoka hapo chini ya mdomo kapasua mpaka itakatoka kwa kichwa. So ilikuwa uchungu sana kuona kwamba aliteswa. Na mateso hayo ilikuwa machungu sana kwa sababu ukiona mwili ambaye imechakaa hivyo, si unaona huyu mtu alipitia uchungu mwingi sana. Mpaka hiyo kitu inapikwa hapo mpaka natokea juu. Pasua bongo. Ilikuwa chungu sana. Lakini utafanya nini? Utavumilia tu. Kwamba Mungu atakupatia nguvu. Kuna njia nyingine kwa sababu wakati unaambiwa unaenda hapa umechesika kuingia kwa hiyo nyumba. Watu wachache wanakubaliwa kuingia. Kama mimi mzazi niliingia na uchungu hiyo so, lakini nilichesika tu. Kuvumilia.
Since February, when Kenei's lifeless body was discovered, his house in Imara Daima estate remained a crime scene until Saturday, 6th February 2021, when the family was allowed to access it and collect his belongings. Initially, the family had been called upon to do so, only to be stopped when a senior detective who was out of the country learned about the move and ordered a halt to the exercise until he jetted back. Despite public assurances that perpetrators would be unmasked, there has been no word from DCI, with sources indicating that the establishment of an inquest into the murder is on the cards. When contacted, the Office of Director of Public Prosecution told KTN News no such request has been formally put forward, while DCI declined to grant an interview on the status of the investigations. Neither did he respond to our email. He, however, sent this text to a colleague saying, and I quote, "All I would comment was captured by media when I gave the press conference on the matter. It was detailed." End of quote. In his last media briefing before Kenei was buried, DP's office was put on the spot.
Mbona walikubali hiyo njama iletwe kwa ofisi yangu, huyu kijana aingizwe ndani, baadaye dakika chache wale washikwe, na baadaye huyu kijana akauawa? We want to know. Kwa sababu mtu mmoja ambaye angetuambia, kwa sababu alikutana na hawa wakora wazungu pamoja na mageneral fake waliokuja kwa ofisi yangu, mtu ambaye angetuambia ukweli ni huyu jamaa wamemuua.
Since he failed to appear at his place of work on 19th February 2020 as was expected, his superiors did not endeavor to find out where he was, neither did they visit his residence to inquire into his whereabouts.
Hii njama inaundwa ya kisiasa. For political reasons, the DCI is being used to undermine my office, to bring me down, and I know what I'm saying. I am the Deputy President of Kenya. I'm not a madman. I know what I'm saying.
On February 23rd, we sent an email to DP spokesperson seeking a response on 5 issues. However, there was no feedback despite our numerous follow-up calls that went unanswered. Neither were the texts responded to. Few months ago, on 18th January, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, while responding to allegations made by Deputy President that he grabbed NYS land in Yatta, where his home stands, Kalonzo in his response demanded that DP comes out clean on several issues, among them his knowledge of the fake arms deal and circumstances surrounding Kenei's murder.
What does DP Ruto know about the fake arms scandal, where one of his bodyguards, Sergeant Kipyegon Kenei, was brutally murdered?
During Kenei's funeral, Ruto explained his last encounter with Sergeant cybercrime forensic experts successfully retrieved data which had been deleted from Kenei's phone. It is the sending of money to his father and his wife, as well as deleting his social media accounts, that led detectives to a conclusion that Kenei may not have committed suicide and that he might have been eliminated because he had crucial information about the fake military equipment tender and the 1 hour 23 minutes meeting that took place at DP's office.
Huyu hawezi kujiua. Hakuna kitu ambaye ilikuwa inamsumbua hata kidogo. Hana matatizo ya aina yote ile. Ni mtu alikuwa free, mtu mdogo, hajapatwa na matatizo ya kifamilia. Ni mtu ambaye tulikuwa tunaenda kupoza msichana kwa nyumba fulani siku hizo tu. Hata kwenda kwake kwa kupoza msichana huyu ingekuwa mwezi wa 8. Ilikuwa tumepanga tayari. Tulikuwa tumeenda show up, kila kitu ilikuwa tayari. So hakuna kitu ambaye ingeni kusa kwamba alijiua, hapana. Hiyo nakataa na bado nakataa mpaka leo. Na kujiua.
Ile mimi nitasema akiwa ni mtu ambaye alinifanyia kazi, na nikiwa pia naibu rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, wenye kuchukua maisha ya huyu kijana watapatikana. Wenye kumuua huyu kijana hawatapata amani.
It appears that the end of the 21-gun salute brought with it an end to investigations into the murder. The real-time updates went dead. This is the spot where Sergeant Arnold Kipyegon Kenei was laid to rest, the sole grave in this homestead. Just as the name Chamasis, which means scorching sun, Kenei's body remains under the scorching sun, buried with the truth of what led to his execution. It is over 13 months since he was buried, but the cross planted on his grave remains fairly fresh, undisturbed. The ribbons that were used to hold wreaths still sit on the mound of dirt that covers his coffin. Perhaps a reminder that his murder will not be a footnote in history. A reminder that his memory will not go away without a fight. The young officer who was murdered at the age of 33 years had met his wife, a teacher, Judy Chepsoi, on Valentine's Day 2019. A year later, same February, he was no more. He was killed 6 months before he could pay dowry for his wife Judy in August 2020, leaving behind 2 children. When he died, the youngest was only 3 weeks old.
When I was worried and uncertain about things, you assured me that it could be okay. You figured things out for me.
Since then, the DCI pronouncements vanished, as well as those who promised that his blood will not be shed in vain, and now the family feels it has been abandoned.
Kwa hiyo mwaka moja tumejaribu kujiconsult, yani tengeneza tu uhusiano na kukubali hii imetokea, hata tukisumbua kiasi gani kuna kitu tutafanya, lakini maombi yetu ni kwamba haki itendeke, kwa sababu huyu mtu hakujiua, aliuawa. Nani huyu alimuua? Kwa uchungu gani? Kama walitafuta nafasi ya waiwe Echesa alikuwa amefukuzwa kwa hiyo ofisi, kwa sababu tunaambiwa ati Echesa alikuwa amefutwa. Ndio alikuja ofisi kwa nini? Alikuwa amekataliwa. Tunauliza serikali, tunauliza kila mtu. Echesa alikuwa amekataliwa kwenda katika kutumbea maofisi. Kama haiko katazwa, kwa nini huyu apate hiyo shida? Tunajua alifutwa, ndio hatujui alifutwa kwa nini, lakini sindia anatembea, ako huru kutembea kwa Kenya. Hatukuambiwa kwamba huyu alikuwa amekataliwa kuingia kwa ofisi, angeingia kwa hii. Kama ni milioni 11 ndio ilikuwa shida, pesa itafanya nini? Echesa naye sindia achitogeze pia, atusaidie, aseme kitu gani kilifanyika. Sasa ni mtu wako hai, na anasema alikuwa anajuana na huyu, anajuana na DP, anaenda kwa ofisi yake. Shida ilitokea wapi?
To the family of the late Kipyegon Kenei, it is desperation and mental anguish over seemingly abandoned investigations into his murder and possible arrest of the culprits. To the country, does it add to the long list of unresolved murders? And to the late Kenei himself, who served at Harambee House Annex as his last posting, is it a case of delayed or denied justice? Duncan Khaemba, KTN News, Nairobi.